Hey class, welcome back. It's the Professor of Mess back with another video. In today's session, we'll be concluding our You trilogy with our Season 3 crash course. Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer that as usual, this video will contain spoilers. So if you prefer to watch Season 3 of You with no spoilers, please feel free to pause this video and come back once you've had a chance to finish the season. Otherwise, grab your popcorn and your pencils and let's begin. So in Season 3, we see a lot of changes, not the least of which is yet another change in scenery. Joe is living his suburban American dream now, and he has taken his talents out to Madre Linda, an affluent and fictional suburb of San Francisco. So Joe has started a new life with his new wife, new baby, a new house, and a new city. And everything is perfect. Yeah right, bitch. You know damn well Joe is miserable. First of all, another drastic change we see this season is in the nature of Joe's relationship with Love. Whereas last year Joe was obsessed with Love, he's now obsessed with getting the hell away from her ass. See, Joe had Love on this pedestal and idealized her in the fantasy of some normal life he could build with her. But the reality of that life has fallen far short of Joe's fantasy. Joe really wants a woman who's a freak in the sheets and damn Roma Downey in the streets. So Joe's revelation that Love is actually a human being with flaws and unresolved trauma just like him, as opposed to some quirky, angelic figment of his sick imagination, has really thrown him for a loop. And between that revelation and the minor little detail that he attempted to murder her ass in the cage last season, surprisingly the magic between these two lovebirds is gone. With this newfound contempt for love and the pressures and realities of parenthood, their poor sex life has just been decimated. Joe is so disgusted with Love that he can't even hide it anymore. Love be trying to kiss on him, fuck on him, or just talk to his ass, but he can't even muster up enough fucks to pretend like he's into it. I mean, Love, how dare you? Don't you know that only men get to be crazy-ass creepy killers? The bottom line is Joe ain't got no love for Love's ass no more. But he went on ahead and reluctantly married her ass because he thinks she is a monster. And he needs to marry her so he can be there to protect his baby from having the same kind of traumatic childhood that he experienced. Now speaking of the baby, that's another area of Joe's new American life that has fallen short of his expectations. See, originally Joe and Love thought they were having a little girl. But it turns out it was all a damn scheme that baby Henry set up to hide his dick in the ultrasound so he could surprise these motherfuckers when he came out. Love and her mother are actually elated with the surprise, since they feel the universe owed them a boy after taking 40 from them last season. And they crazy asses actually think Henry is the reincarnation of 40. Let's hope not. And Joe is less than thrilled because for some reason he felt like a girl would be less likely to inherit Joe's crazy gene, and that a son will surely grow up to be doomed just like his damn daddy who ain't nothing but a damn sack of horse shit.
Cause your daddy ain't nothing but some dead horse shit.
As a result of this, Joe struggles to bond with Henry, which has in turn put even more strain on his relationship with Love. And furthermore, not only is Joe miserable because his new family can't seem to live up to his impossible standards, he also feels like his new city, Madre Linda, is yet another disappointment. Madre Linda is what Joe describes as a wealthy and soulless suburb. And Madre Linda just doesn't have the range to meet the requirements of his sophisticated serial killer palate. Somebody done lied to Madre Linda several times and told her that it was fly and hot and sexy and beautiful, and it's nothing like that. It's nothing of the sort. So all in all, Joe basically feels like he's ironically living in his very own version of his hell in a cell.
Hell in a cell!
But don't worry, although many things change, some things do in fact remain the same. For instance, Joe is still a hopeless romantic, i.e. crazy-ass obsessive stalker. And though Love has proven to be a letdown for Joe, he still believes that the one is out there for him. And goddammit, he gonna hunt that bitch down, stalk her, and throw her in the damn cage if that's the last thing he do. The latest object of Joe's affection and predation is Natalie, that same sexy neighbor we saw at the end of last season outside reading books by the pool. So while Joe is trying to hang in there with the family life, He is in desperate need of a creepy Joe fix, so he gets to stalking on Natalie. Joe just wants to be able to stalk Natalie's ass in peace, but Love and baby Henry's old hating asses keep throwing salt on Joe's creep game. So he got to get real creative now, synchronizing his diaper runs with Natalie's grocery store trips so he can have his way with himself in the parking lot, strapping Henry's old cock-blocking ass to his chest so he can run behind Natalie's ass and follow her to the library. But thankfully for Joe, Natalie is almost as miserable with her marriage as Joe is with his. So she decides to entertain herself by playing her own little game of Seduce the Psycho. So Natalie decides to get her game started, and she invites Joe over to the house one day for a drink while both Love and Natalie's husband are away. She tells Joe how miserable she is with her tech mogul husband who is just consumed with work all the damn time. And she also tells Joe she hates Madre Linda just as much as he does. She feels so smothered and stifled living there under the constant pretense and scrutiny. She say it's like a damn prison living up in there. Motherfuckers constantly observing and scrutinizing you all the damn time. And she say, matter of fact, I brought you over here to this spot right here because it's the only spot in all of Madre Linda to where you can't be seen by all them damn surveillance cameras everywhere.
There's no such thing as privacy in Madre Linda.
So Joe was like, what the fuck, surveillance cameras? This definitely gonna throw a wrench in all my damn stalking plans. So then Natalie takes Joe on into the house and they continue talking and bonding over how miserable both their asses is with married life and how they just wish they could bottle up that magic and excitement that you feel when you first meet somebody new because it just dissipates and wears off after you get to really know that person. So Joe and Natalie's old depressing asses decide to make a toast to the grown-ass emo life, but their glasses break. Yeah, bitch, I bet you didn't realize you was toasting with damn Joe Goldberg Schwarzenegger over there, did you? So Natalie ends up cutting her hand, and so she takes her scarf off and wraps it around her hand to stop the bleeding. And then once Natalie takes the scarf off her hand, Joe sees it and he's like, oh, I'll take that bitch, thank you very much. I got a new crazy box, I'm gonna start with this motherfucker. So then Natalie takes Joe's ass upstairs to her dirty ass room and he sees her drawers on the floor and he's like, oh, I'll take those too, bitch, thank you very much. So then Natalie get to kissing on Joe, and at first he's enjoying it and they even almost start smashing. But then noble psycho Joe has a sudden attack of conscience and he's like, sorry bitch, look, I can't be doing this shit. I need to get on home to my wife and my baby that I can't stand. So if you'll excuse me, I'll just be taking your drawers and your bloody ass scarf and I'll just be on my way. Then Joe goes home and takes all that damn pent up ass alpha nerd sexual energy that Natalie done brought up to the surface out on Love's ass. And after a 6-month drought, Joe done finally delivered that Poindexter peen to Love that she been waiting for. Now, another one of the more conspicuous changes in Season 3 is that all of a sudden we got a couple black folks on the main cast. Look at God. One of these new black characters is Sherry Conrad, a pretentious, fake-ass social media influencer / resident 40-year-old mean girl who lives in Madre Linda with her husband Carrie, who is a self-obsessed fitness enthusiast / autofellatio enthusiast, and their twin boys. So one night, Sherry and Carrie invite Love and Joe over to their house for a little neighborhood meet and greet. And Joe and Love separate for a little bit to mingle, and Joe meets Carrie, who he immediately thinks is flirting with him. And that brings me to lesson number 1. Motherfucker, everybody is not flirting with you. I don't know what it is about Joe Goldberg, but this motherfucker from Season 1 is just constantly thinking any interaction he has with somebody that's even slightly polite is them flirting with him.
Is he flirting with me?
Are you flirting with me? Are you flirting?
You are flirting with me.
I know it's hard to believe not everybody wants your Doogie House looking ass, but sometimes people are actually just being polite and courteous to you, you fucking narcissist. So anyway, while Joe is preoccupied with his new man crush Carrie, Love actually meets Natalie and gets to having a nice little conversation with her, in which they bond over their mutual disdain for Sherry's old phony two-faced ass. So Natalie and Love were getting along swimmingly until Love catches Natalie in an unnecessary ass ridiculous lie about how neither one of them had ever been over to Natalie's house yet. And of course, the ain't shit ass writers for the series made it a point to have Natalie make this statement in the most unnatural, awkwardly unnecessary way so that Love could know that she explicitly lied and was trying to hide something.
It's crazy we haven't had either of you at the house yet. We'll do it soon.
I mean, why wouldn't she just say, oh, we'll have to invite you and Joe over sometime? Obviously, because that would make too much sense, and the writers just needed to get Love's crazy wheels to spinning, and this was the quickest and laziest way to do it. And speaking of which, another thing that stayed the same this season despite all the changes is that Love's ass is still crazy as hell. And it looks like motherhood and sexual frustration done turned Love's damn crazy dial up a few notches. So Love confronts Joe about Natalie after they leave the party, and she's like, "Motherfucker, I know damn well you did not bring your ass home the other night after Natalie got your damn nuts to quivering, and then was thinking about her ass while you was giving me that dork dick." And Joe was like, "Girl, you tripping. Nothing happened between me and Natalie. She did flirt with me a little bit, but I cut that shit short and let her know that I'm a one crazy bitch kind of man, and all my devotion is to you and Henry." But Love knows better than that. She knows Joe's psychotic, obsessive ass is not capable of leaving anything at just simple flirting. So she gets to investigating, and she finds Joe's new crazy box with Natalie's drawers and bloody scarf, among other items in there. So Love like, "Oh, okay, motherfucker, I see what time it is. It's crazy in love time." So Love asks Natalie, who's actually a real estate agent, to help her find a location for a new bakery that Love wants to start up so she can get back to her passion of cooking. But the only damn thing Love been cooking up around here is a damn scheme to lure Natalie's unsuspecting ass down to the basement so she can Friday the 13th her ass. So Love calls Joe to let him know he gonna have to find him a new victim to stalk because she done pulled a damn Lizzie Borden on this bitch. So Joe rushed down there and he like, "God damn, I don't feel like dealing with this bullshit today."
God damn bullshit, why I gotta keep coming here?
So they get to arguing, but they realize ain't really no point in arguing now. They might as well go ahead and take care of this shit. So they go ahead and bury Natalie's ass out there in the woods, and Love figures, well shit, I guess I got to commit to this damn bakery bullshit now. So then she goes ahead and signs a 3-year lease for that building to help with the cover-up. And Joe, of course, go all up and through Natalie's cell phone, texting folks to set up the disappearance angle. But as he's doing that, he sees an exchange between Natalie and her sister. And her sister's telling her, "Natalie, girl, I know you bored, but please do not fuck your whack-ass, boring-ass, Rachel Dolezal-looking ass neighbor." And Natalie like, "Yeah, I know he whack. I know he look like Rachel Dolezal and shit. But you know, I'm just bored, so I'll fuck anything right about now." And Joe is like, "How rude. How rude. I thought everybody wanted to fuck my Napoleon Dynamite looking ass because I'm just so damn irresistible and shit." But sorry, Joe, it turns out Natalie was just entertaining herself with a little game of Lay the Loser. So anyway, after they done buried Natalie's ass, Joe later realizes after talking to Carrie that everybody in the neighborhood, including Natalie, wears a vital ring gadget that helps you monitor your blood pressure, heart rate, etc. And this ring also has a GPS on it, which parents like Carrie and Sherry use to keep track of what their kids are up to. Now, crime boss Joe here thought to even remove Natalie's damn teeth so they couldn't identify her via her dental records, but he didn't think to check the damn jewelry on her finger, including this ring that just so happens to have a GPS, which will lead authorities to Natalie's body. So then Joe and Love got to go dig Natalie's ass up and bury her somewhere else. But then Love is like, "Hold up, motherfucker, you sure is coming up with all these multiple alternative burial locations off the top of your damn head pretty quickly." So Love realizes that the real reason Joe is a damn expert on all the damn prime bury a bitch locations around Madre Linda is because Love is the bitch he been thinking about burying. So it's clear that not only is the magic gone between Joe and Love, but also the trust is completely gone as well. I guess nothing kills a romance like locking a bitch in a cage and putting a damn hook to her throat. So after they done burying Natalie's ass for the second time, they decide, look, we need to go to some damn couples therapy if this shit gonna work out. So they start seeing a therapist, and this therapist really does seem to see Love and Joe for who they truly are.
You're many things, but you are not murderers.
Okay, well look, maybe the therapist don't quite have her finger on the pulse of the situation, but the important thing is these crazy motherfuckers need some damn therapy, so this is better than nothing. And it actually does seem to help their relationship, at least at first. Joe and Love start working together to open up Love's new bakery, which they call a Fresh Tart, and they even build an all-new Hell in a Cell version 3.0 just in case they need to lock anybody's ass up in there. So Joe and Love continue trying to play it cool and act normal while the town becomes increasingly enthralled in the mysterious disappearance of Natalie. Mostly everybody seems to suspect Matthew, Natalie's husband, and think that he has something to do with Natalie's disappearance since he's been refusing to speak to the media, and since, well, often the spouse is involved in these kinds of cases. So professional clout chaser Sherry decides to flex off of Natalie's disappearance by taking her ass on the news and pretending to be Natalie's best friend, despite the fact that Natalie couldn't stand her ass. And after throwing shade at Matthew, Sherry then mentions on live TV that one of the last things Natalie did before she went missing was lease the bakery space to Love. So now the heat and scrutiny have been dialed up a notch, and Love and Joe realize acting normal ain't gonna cut it no more. So they come up with another scheme to try to frame Matthew using that bloody scarf that Joe stole from Natalie. However, before Joe can finish planting that bloody scarf in Matthew's trash can, he get to feeling all woozy and pass the fuck out. See, baby Henry done caught the measles and he's now in the hospital, and it turns out that Joe was never vaccinated as a child either, so he done caught the measles too. But thankfully Matthew comes home, finds Joe passed out by the trash cans, and brings him in the house to nurse him back to consciousness. And once Joe's awake, he actually has a great conversation with Matthew, despite the fact that he had this flimsy ass excuse for why the fuck he was in Matthew's backyard in the first place. They also bond over fatherhood, and Matthew gives Joe some great parenting advice and reassures him that he'll be able to be a good father to Henry. So Joe recovers enough to be able to go back home, and Love arrives with baby Henry, who is also better now. Joe tells Love that Matthew actually is a good person, and Joe just didn't have the heart to frame him after all. Love understands and agrees, and she says, you know what, we need to do better. So they decide to go ahead on and burn Natalie's scarf, and they say, look, we're just going to take this day by day and focus on trying to be better people and parents. The next day, Gil, another one of their neighbors, arrives to the bakery and offers an apology to Love. It turns out that Gil is an anti-vaxxer, and it was his children that got baby Henry and Joe sick with the measles and put both their lives in danger. So Love is stunned by this news, but Gil thinks it's all good since both Joe and the baby recovered, and since he came and bought some damn blueberry scones from Love as a peace offering. So Gil takes his scones and he turns to leave, and Love is like, oh, hold on, Gil, I got something else to get your ass before you go. And Gil turns around like, oh yeah, what's that? And Love is like, this bitch. So Love tells Joe about what she did, but he actually isn't upset, and he understands why she did it, and he's kind of like, well, hey, this motherfucker had it coming. But they want to avoid yet another senseless murder on their notch board, so Joe and Love decide to lock Gil in the Hell in the Cell, and then hire a PI to find some dirt on Gil with the hope that they can maybe just use that to blackmail him so he'll keep his damn Ned Flanders looking ass mouth shut. They seemingly hit the jackpot when their PI discovers that not only did Gil's wife buy their son some damn SAT scores like Aunt Becky and them did to get his son into an Ivy League school, but also she paid off a female student that their ain't shit ass son assaulted while he was there. But it turns out Gil actually knew nothing about this, and he's totally shocked and taken aback by this news. So for a moment it seemed like Joe and Love could breathe a sigh of relief, but not so fast, bitch. Because they return to the cell and they find Gil was so devastated to learn of what his wife and monster-ass son had done that he ended up offing himself. At first, Joe and Love panic, but then they realize that they can actually use Gil's death to cover up their involvement in Natalie's murder. See, Sherry is still knee-deep in her clout tour, and tonight she didn't organize a community search for Natalie in the woods, which Sherry also plans to use as a photo op for her social media page. So while everybody in Madre Linda is out in the woods that evening, Joe sneaks into Gil's home and plants Gil's body there along with a note confessing that Gil was the one who killed Natalie in a jealous rage, and he says they were having an affair, and he realized that she was never going to leave her husband, he just couldn't take it, he snapped and killed her ass. And then while he was doing that, Love planted the actual murder weapon in the woods while nobody was looking, because she knew the police would find it that evening, which they did. So by the next morning, everybody in Madre Linda believed that Natalie was dead at the hands of a jealous lover, Gil, and Love and Joe are free and clear, having killed two birds with one stone. Now, in the midst of all this chaos, I should mention that both Joe and Love have managed to set their sights on some extramarital action. Joe has gotten himself a job at the Madre Linda Public Library, where he has become interested in the other new black character this season, his boss, Marienne. Marienne and Joe actually got off on the wrong foot because Marienne assumed from Joe's behavior that he was just another privileged, arrogant-ass rich boy like damn near everybody else in Madre Linda. But later, she softens up when she finds out that Joe actually grew up in the foster care system, which is something that she and Joe have in common. So later, Marienne offers Joe a book recommendation as a peace offering for giving him a hard time, and shockingly, our boy Poindexter Joe thinks this means she's flirting with his ass.
It's almost like you're flirting with me.
Fuck, dude, you've got to get out more. But anyway, needless to say, this is where Joe's new obsession begins, and soon enough he's back on creeper duty with Marienne as the subject. Meanwhile, Love hasn't exactly been twiddling her damn thumbs either. See, we already know from season 2 that Love has a thing for Poindexter Peen. And luckily for her, there's a new damn McLovin lookalike that moved in next door and making a move on her ass. See, it turns out that Matthew's stepson Theo has a thing for older married women, and he wants to make a McLovin plus love connection. And Theo lets Love know he's not your average horny teenage frat boy douchebag. Oh no, this motherfucker here is a modern day damn Bob's Burger looking ass Casanova. The sexual tension is strong between these two, and Love enjoys the male attention she's getting, although she rebuffs him when he tries to kiss her. But Theo's alpha looking ass is persistent. He comes home from college and takes Love on a damn late night romantic ride on his scooter. And I promise you I'm not making this shit up. This jailbait ass Millhouse looking ass boy then took this grown woman on a date in the park on his damn scooter. What in the Mary Kay Letourneau hell is going on here? Anyway, Theo then tells Love that he's taking some time off from school because he just can't stop thinking about her old ass, and he wants to stay there in Madre Linda and proclaim his damn love for her. At first, Love tries to reject him again, but then Theo's patience and dedication finally pays off when Love says, fuck it, I'm about to hop on this Doogie Howser dick, and they got to fucking right there in the damn grass. Then Love takes the walk of shame on home, and her mama's sitting there looking at her like, girl, you know you ain't shit.
Honey, I crown you queen of stank-a-dank-dank-dank.
Then Joe comes home from a male bonding hunting trip he took with Carrie and some of the other husbands, and he gets him some love from Love that night too. Girl, you nasty. Anyway, after they finish getting it on, the alarm at the bakery goes off, and Joe goes to check it out. But it turns out it was all another scheme that Joe set up to give him a chance to go out and start stalking Marienne. Joe said the hunting trip then brought out the damn animal in his weak ass, and now he got to give in to his crazy motherfucker urges, although this time within limits, so as not to jeopardize his marriage and family. Now both Joe and Love are feeling guilty because neither one of them ain't shit. Love's still out here fucking on this neighbor boy, and Joe running around here stalking this library girl. And what's worse is that Love's lady time is a bit late in arriving this month, so she's worried that she might be pregnant. So then Love has to go off to some woman's empowerment seminar that her mama is putting on. And so when she arrives, she starts talking to her mama, and her mom's all like, bitch, I know you ain't still fucking that neighbor boy, is you? And Love was like, what? Neighbor, fucking, I don't be doing nothing like that. I don't even know what fucking is, girl. I'm a Christian. But her mama ain't buying it. She like, bitch, I know your ass line. I'm your mama and I can tell. But look, whatever, let's go get us a drink and we can talk about this shit later. But then Love was like, see, I can't be drinking because, see, what had happened was I'm on a detox or some shit, so now I can't be doing no drinking. So her mama was like, bitch, I know your ass not pregnant, is you? And Love was like, what? Pregnant? What is that? Ain't nobody pregnant up in here? And so her mom was like, oh, Lord, bitch, you pregnant, ain't you? Oh, and you probably don't even know who the damn daddy is. I'm about to call Mari on your ass.
You are not.
But thankfully, after the event, Love went home and took a pregnancy test, and it came back negative. So she breathes a sigh of relief, but she realized she need to get her damn shit together before she do end up on Mari or Jerry Springer 1. Meanwhile, Joe keeps on stalking Marienne, and he finds out that she's fighting an intense custody battle with her nothing-ass ex-husband, Ryan. Both Marienne and Ryan are recovering drug addicts, although Ryan's bitch ass has somehow managed to become a well-respected local reporter, while Marienne continues to be persecuted by the courts for her past mistakes. One evening, as Marienne and Joe are closing up the library, Ryan's sorry ass shows up and starts getting aggressive with Marienne in an effort to intimidate her regarding the custody situation. But then Super Nerd here, Poindexter Joe, comes to the rescue and runs the douchebag off, which pisses off Marienne, who tells him she don't need no damn white knight riding in to save her. But Joe is like, look, I wasn't trying to be no dorky ass white knight, I was just trying to help a friend in need. So Marienne realizes maybe she overreacted, and so she confides in Joe all about her past and her custody battle, which Joe of course already knows about since he's been stalking her ass. So then they start making out and they almost smash, but then both of them realize that's probably not the right thing to do and they shouldn't cross this line. They're like, you know what, let's just both agree that the best thing we can do is just move on. Let's just pretend like none of this shit ever happened. And Joe decides he's gonna just focus on his family and Marienne gonna focus on her custody battle. Because yeah, you know, ignoring the problem always works. And although Love tried to distance herself from Theo, that plan goes to hell too, when Theo finds out that his stepfather has been secretly investigating his wife's murder, since he doesn't believe that Gil was the person responsible. So remember when Natalie told y'all there wasn't no privacy in Madre Linda?
There's no such thing as privacy in Madre Linda.
Well, it turns out she was right. Matthew done secured all the surveillance footage from around the city on y'all asses, and he's been combing through every piece of footage from the day Natalie was murdered to find out what actually happened. What's worse is that he already suspects Love and Joe since she was the last person to be seen with Natalie. So Love comes up with another scheme to keep on seducing Theo so that she can stay close to the situation and get all the 411 on what Matthew knows. Joe doesn't hesitate to agree to this since it not only keeps them in the loop, but also gives him room to keep pursuing Marienne. So meanwhile, Sherry tells Love that she and Carrie are actually swingers, and they want to swing their asses on over to Joe and Love's house to fuck on them next. Sherry saying that look, since everybody on this damn show seems to want to fuck on this damn skinny ass howdy doody looking ass motherfucker Joe, we want our turn too so we can figure out what all the damn fuss is about. Love isn't convinced at first, but she discusses it with Joe, and he sees this as the perfect opportunity to take a step towards an open marriage, which he can then leverage to continue his pursuit of Marienne. After a bit of back and forth, they tell Sherry and Carrie they're ready to get down with the swanging and swirling. So Sherry and Carrie come over for couples nookie night and even bring over their special bag of dicks and tricks to get this party popping right. Carrie lets Joe know that before they can switch wives, they got to have some erotic bro bonding time first so they can break each other in before getting the ladies involved. Hell, maybe Carrie was flirting with Joe after all, my bad. I guess it ain't no fun if your bro can't have none. So the girls go off for some cocktails while Joe is about to get the same, just minus the tail. But it turns out that all Carrie really wants to do with Joe is have him watch while Carrie gets intimate with the real love of Carrie's life, his damn self. So after Carrie finishes having his way with himself in the mirror, he and Joe go into the next room where the girls have been getting wasted. And then Carrie and Love watch while Sherry and Joe get it on. Joe is clearly not into it, but Sherry tells him, look, just look at your partner if you're feeling nervous. So Joe starts looking at Love, but then he starts fantasizing about Marienne while Sherry is riding his wee-wee. But Love crazy ass could tell that he wasn't thinking about her and he was really thinking about somebody else. So she screams the safe word and runs her crazy ass out the room, and then Joe runs after her. So Joe and Love are downstairs and they get to arguing. And Love is like, who is she, Joe? Who is this bitch you was just thinking about? I know your sorry ass was not thinking about me while Sherry was fucking on you. And so Joe tries to deny it, but Love is not buying the bullshit. She knows she'll never be enough for Joe despite everything she's done to satisfy him. Then Love's old drunk ass blurts out that she's done everything she could for Joe. She even killed Natalie's ass for him. And so Joe tried to shut this dumb fool up, but it's too late now because she done said that shit all loud as hell, and they know Sherry and Carrie probably heard it. And that brings me to lesson number 2. Don't do the crime if you can't hold your damn wine. If you know you can't hold your liquor, either stay your ass on that straight and narrow path or make sure that you never drink again. So anyway, Joe and Love, dumbasses, then fucked up again, but they're like, you know what? Maybe they didn't hear us. Let's go upstairs and see. So Joe and Love go back upstairs, and at first it actually does seem like everything is fine, and Sherry and Carrie are just ready to get back to business. So Sherry's like, okay, now where were we? Oh yeah, that's right. Now bring your old Boy Meets World looking ass over here and give me some more of that damn Corey Matthews dick. So at first Joe and Love think everything is okay, but then they notice Sherry is looking a little nervous and fidgety. Then all of a sudden Sherry gives Carrie the signal to run, and he takes the fuck off. So damn Usain Bolt Joe chases after Corey, and of course he catches right up to his ass in the living room. They get into a struggle, and although Carrie gets Joe in a sleeper hold, as expected, Super Nerd gets the best of Muscle Man Carrie and manages to stab his ass in the shoulder with some broken glass. Then they move into the kitchen, and Joe manages to stab Carrie's ass again, this time in the leg with a fork. Carrie escapes into the backyard, and now Joe done turned into goddamn professional sniper nerd Joe. He picks up a damn bow and arrow and somehow manages to shoot Carrie in the leg, even though this motherfucker hiding in the dark. Then Joe runs up and knocks Carrie out with the damn rock, and then this incredible Hulk nerd ass motherfucker manages to drag Carrie's big ass all the way up the stairs. And then he and Love make Carrie and Sherry, who Love had also knocked out in the meantime, the next residents of their Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell!
Anyway, as usual, these two damn fools come up with some lame-ass scheme to cover up their tracks so that nobody questions why Sherry and Carrie have mysteriously vanished into thin air. So Love logs into Sherry's social media and posts that Sherry's going to be going off the grid for a while, and since their kids are off at camp, this should buy Love and Joe some time. Sherry also gives Love the idea to expose Matthew's ass on Sherry's blog and let the whole town know that he's spying on them with that surveillance footage. Love does this and it works, and the board from Matthew's company comes over to his house and tells him, motherfucker, if you don't delete all that goddamn footage before the FBI gets involved with this shit, we're gonna put our collective foot up your ignorant ass. So Matthew has no choice but to comply, delete the footage, and just try to move on with his life. But while all of this has been going on, Theo had been investigating his stepdad's surveillance footage to figure out what he had on Joe and Love. And he saw some footage of Joe punching the wall during an argument with Love, and this convinces Theo that Joe is dangerous and Love is some damsel in distress who needs Theo to be her white knight. Well, you're about half right there, buddy. So Theo managed to download a copy of all the damn footage that his stepdaddy had compiled onto a flash drive before his stepdaddy deleted it. And I don't know what the hell kind of flash drive this was that could store months of damn video footage on it, but whatever brand it is, let me know because I need it. Meanwhile, Joe goes to see Marienne, and she is completely distraught because she just found out that her sorry ass ex Ryan is about to move to New Jersey and take their daughter with him. So Joe decides to console Marienne with his dick.
I lost my car keys. I was looking for them with my dick.
But after they're done, Marienne says, well look, thanks for that Doogie Howser dick, but that didn't really solve my problem. So I'm just going to have to move my ass out to New Jersey to be near my daughter. And Joe's like, bitch, what? New Jersey? How the fuck am I supposed to stalk your ass when you clear across the country? So Joe knows he's got to act fast. Now, Joe had already been trying to help Marienne's custody situation with her ex by doing what he does best, stalking that motherfucker. He learned Ryan's routine, scored some Adderall, and snuck into Ryan's house one morning to spike his protein shakes in the hopes that it would cause a relapse and compromise his custody situation with his daughter. Only the joke was on Joe. Ryan been a dope fiend all along. It was all another scheme that Ryan set up to make the community think that he was an upstanding citizen, but this motherfucker was snorting and smoking up everything he could get his hands on all along.
You still a dope fiend? Are you still getting high?
So Joe is left with no other option but to go back to basics. He stalks Ryan again, and this time he waits for Ryan to come out of the gym and he attacks his ass. But Ryan's ass is all pumped up and geeked up on all them damn drugs and supplements and shit, and so he manages to whoop Super Nerd's ass. And Super Nerd Joe is laying there like, oh, don't kill me, bro. I got a motherfucking girlfriend. I got a damn wife on the side.
Don't kill me, please. I got kids, man. I got a motherfucking girlfriend. I got a wife on the side, man. Shut up!
So Ryan lets Joe off with a warning and he walks off, but then Joe gets up and pushes Ryan's ass over the edge of a third floor of the parking garage, and then he goes down there and stabs him just for good measure. Good thing that I guess there just so happen to be no surveillance cameras anywhere around the gym.
There's no such thing as privacy in Madre Linda.
These sorry ass writers strike again. Meanwhile, Theo has a chance to review the footage that he just stole, and he immediately is able to spot something his damn stepdaddy missed after weeks of poring over this same footage. It's an angle of Natalie's car leaving the bakery that day that she went missing. Only from this angle you can clearly see it's Joe driving away in Natalie's car, not Natalie. So Theo done cracked the damn case. Well, kinda. So he rushes over to the bakery to find Love, the person who actually did murder Natalie, and he wants to warn her about Joe and sweep this innocent maiden away where Joe can never hurt her again. But when Theo gets there, he wanders down to the basement and finds Carrie and Sherry in the damn cage. And they immediately spill all the tea, including the fact that this girl Love is the one who killed his stepmom. But Theo doesn't want to believe it, so he runs upstairs, but he does try to find the key so he can go ahead on and free Carrie and Sherry. Unfortunately for Theo, Love conveniently arrives just as he finds the key. And so Theo tells Love that he knows she's innocent, and he knows that Joe is the one responsible for Natalie's murder, and he even has the surveillance footage to prove it. Theo tells Love to run away with him, and his olive oil looking ass can protect her for all times. He tells Love just come with him and she'll be safe in his damn shoelace looking ass, string bean ass arms and up against his concave ass bird chest. But Love convinces Theo that he just needs to leave without her, and so when he turns to do so, she knocks his ass out with a damn fire extinguisher. So Love tells Joe about what happened and how she had to kill Theo's ass, but when Joe goes there to take care of the body, he discovers that Theo is actually still alive. So Joe, trying to change his ways and be a better man for Marienne, decides to drug Theo up using some of the stash Carrie brought to his house on Nookie Night, and he drops Theo off down to the hospital. Meanwhile, Love discovers the bloody t-shirt from the night Joe killed Ryan. And since Love had just overheard a conversation about Ryan's murder that morning at her bakery, she puts two and two together and she realizes that Joe was the one who killed Ryan, and that means that Marienne must be the one that Joe is obsessed with and was thinking about the other night. So Love decides she just about had enough of this bullshit and she gonna nip this in the bud once and for all. So she makes a special dinner that night and confronts Joe regarding his affair with Marienne. Joe doesn't deny it, but he also fires back like, bitch, let's not play games because I already know you've been fucking on that teenage neighbor boy, so please drop the innocent act. Joe says, look, now that this shit is out in the open, let's just go ahead and stop playing games. Let's go ahead and get a damn divorce, and we can just co-parent Henry and take our crazy asses on our separate ways. But before they could go much further in the conversation, baby Henry get to crying, and then Love had to get up from the table to go attend to him. So while Love is away, Joe is sitting there and he's like, I don't really know what this crazy bitch might try when she get back to the table. So you know what, let me grab this big ass butcher knife that Love just so happened to strategically place right in front of my ass. Because obviously she ain't up to nothing, this is all just coincidence. So when Love gets back, she confesses to Joe that her first husband didn't die from cancer after all. He was sick with cancer at one point, but he recovered and then he tried to leave her crazy ass once he did. Similar to how Joe is trying to bounce on Love's ass right now. So Love gave her first husband a paralytic called aconite just to knock him out so they could go ahead and talk things out. But unfortunately, Love didn't understand proper dosing back then, so she gave him too high of a dose and accidentally killed his ass. So why is Love telling Joe all this now? Well, there's a reason she strategically placed that big ass knife in front of Joe's dumb ass after all. See, Love's had plenty of time in the subsequent years to learn all about proper dosing of aconite, and she discovered that the safest way to temporarily paralyze a motherfucker with aconite is to let it absorb through the skin. And since she knows Joe better than he knows himself, she knew his ass would grab that knife the second she walked out the room, so she laced that motherfucker with some aconite to paralyze his ass. Just as Love tells Joe this, he begins to feel the effects of the paralytic and he falls his ass on the floor. Love then grabs Joe's phone and texts Marienne and tells her to come over to the house ASAP. But then Love suddenly remembers she needs to run a quick errand. So I guess this bitch is going to have to hope she get back in time before Marienne arrives. Then Matthew sees Love leave the house and he comes over thinking Theo might be there. He doesn't find Theo, but he does find Joe paralyzed on the floor, unable to speak. Matthew demands to know where Theo is, but since Joe can't speak, he just uses head language to basically nod down to his phone, which Matthew picks up and realizes that Theo's at the hospital. But even though Matthew seems to indicate that he knows that Love is the one who murdered Natalie, not Joe, he still tells Joe, I'm gonna leave your ass right here and let her do whatever the fuck she wants to do to you. You deserve it. Ouch. So Love conveniently arrives just in time to greet Marienne's ass at the door and invite her in. Marienne reluctantly agrees to come in and talk to Love, who confronts her about her affair with Joe, and tells her how the game Joe ran on Marienne is the same game he ran on Love and countless other women before her. She also tells Marienne that Joe is the one who killed Ryan and that she has no idea what Joe is capable of when he's obsessed with someone. Now the whole time Love is talking to Marienne, she has a large serving fork behind her back, which she presumably plans to use to kill Marienne. Joe is on the floor and he can see and hear everything going on, but is powerless to stop it. But thankfully Marienne's daughter shows up at the door asking to use the restroom. And this seems to snap Love into the reality of what she was planning to do. So instead of killing Marienne as she planned, she advises Marienne that she needs to just get the hell away from Joe and never talk to him again. Marienne tells Love that she should do the same thing given what Love is telling her about Joe. So the two women actually share a nice moment of mutual respect and compassion, and then thankfully Marienne leaves with her daughter all in one piece. The talk that Love had with Marienne actually seems to get through to her, and she decides that the real problem here is Joe. He's the one who drives her to do this crazy shit, and she needs to just get rid of his ass once and for all. So Love goes up to chop this motherfucker up like some damn Benihana's hibachi steak, but surprise bitch, it was all another scheme. Joe was never paralyzed after all. See, Joe got suspicious when he noticed Love was spending a little too much damn time out in her garden. So damn Columbo Joe here did some research and figured out what she was growing out there and what antidotes he could use against it. Also, damn Raven Baxter Joe over here I guess had a vision that this bitch was going to try to poison his ass at dinner, so he took the antidote which Carrie just so happened to have in his bag of tricks and put on a damn Tony-worthy performance when he fell out and played dead all night. Then Joe waited until just the right moment and got up and stabbed Love's ass with a lethal dose of her own paralytic. Yes, that's right, our very own Poindexter Joe, whose bumbling, fumbling ass has spent the past 3 seasons barely evading capture every single time he's committed a crime, has suddenly morphed into the damn Sir Isaac Newton of poisoning bitches. He the damn Picasso of paralytics. He the Albert Einstein of aconite. He the damn Stephen Hawking of cyanide. So Love laying here dying and... Hold up, wait a damn minute. You mean to tell me you laid your Napoleon Dynamite looking ass on this floor looking at your crazy ass wife about to kill Marienne, the woman who you claim to be in love with, and you wasn't even really paralyzed all the time? So what, you was gonna just let her ass die just so you wouldn't mess up your stupid ass master plan? What if Love had just stabbed Marienne's ass? What was you gonna do, just keep laying there? Oh my god, anyway, let's just wrap this shit up. So anyway, Love's dying ass tells Joe that they actually deserve each other, and you damn right about that, Love. And she also says Henry deserves better. Yep, right again. Dying Love realizes what we've known all along. Neither one of them ain't shit, and neither one of them actually love the other. Each of them reflect the most broken part of their partner. Joe has a deep-seated Madonna complex stemming from his relationship/abandonment by his mother and is in constant search of his idealized notion of what a woman should be. He was never seeking a loving, committed relationship with a real person. Rather, he simply craves the fantasy of what could or should be. And Love sought out Joe because she has a pattern of becoming fixated on fixing the broken men in her life, as opposed to fixing her damn self. So Love dies and damn Dexter Morgan Joe here commences to stage in the damn crime scene to make it look like Love killed him and then killed herself. He leaves a note purportedly from Love confessing to all the shit they did, killing Natalie, framing Gil, caging Carrie and Sherry, and most importantly, the murder of her dear, sweet, innocent husband, Poindexter Joe. But that's not all Joe leaves behind. He also cuts off 2 of his own damn toes and bakes them into a pie. Cause I guess that's what crazy ass baker bitches do. Cut your toes off and turn them into a damn toe jam apple strudel. And as dumb as this plan is, the people of Madre Linda prove to be even dumber because they all fall for all this bullshit. Even though they found Love's whole damn body and only 2 sorry-ass toes from Joe, the police apparently decided, well, I guess she must have baked the rest of his ass somewhere else. Anyway, Joe did take Love's words about Henry to heart, and he decides the best thing for Henry is to leave him with his co-worker Dante and his husband so he can grow up in a loving home. Joe leaves Henry on Dante's doorstep with a note, and thank God they actually do decide to take Henry in and legally adopt him. So fast forward a few months and we see that Carrie and Sherry managed to escape their hell in a cell when they figured out that there must be a key hidden somewhere inside, since Joe and Love clearly had zero trust in each other and therefore would have feared that the other would jump at the chance to lock their partner in the cell at some point. Carrie and Sherry managed to find the key, escape, and now they're flexing for clout harder than ever off a book they wrote about their experiences called Caged, a radical couples therapy technique. And as for our boy Poindexter Joe, well, what else? He back on his stalking grind. He somehow managed to fly his legally dead ass over to Paris and is working under an assumed identity with the hopes of continuing to stalk the French-born Marienne, who he doesn't even know for sure is there, but assumes she may be based on conversations they had during their library days. So where do we go from here? I actually thought that this may be the end of the series, but I've actually read subsequently that there is going to be a season 4. So I guess in season 4, maybe we'll find out how in the hell Joe managed to get his ass all the way to France without a viable passport and without anyone noticing his dead ass wasn't dead. Also, don't forget that Theo is still alive and he still has all that surveillance footage. So I guess we'll see if that ever comes back to bite Joe. We'll just have to stay tuned to season 4 to find out. Okay, class, so what have we learned? Well, lesson number 1. Motherfucker, everybody not flirting with you. Sometimes hello really just means hello. Lesson number 2. Don't do the damn crime if you can't hold your damn wine. Lesson number 3. The sum of one crazy motherfucker and another crazy motherfucker equals too damn much. Don't be creating no damn crazy motherfucker synergy around here where the sum of 2 crazy motherfuckers is greater than its parts. If you are as crazy as either one of these 2 motherfuckers, please just forget about trying to seek out a love connection and just seek out some professional help. And finally, and most importantly, lesson number 4. Don't be no low-down, sorry-ass bastard. Well, that's all for today, class, and that concludes our You Crash Course trilogy. I hope you enjoyed this video and the entire series and found this information useful. This was a lot of work, so if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want to keep up with the professor so you never miss a lecture, don't forget to hit that notification bell and follow me on IG, TikTok, and Twitter at Professor of Mess. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Class dismissed.